I don't know why, but I all of a sudden wanted to start singing "Sexual Healing" by Marvin Gaye.
Yeah.
welcome welcome to this video. We're going to be talking about how to improve your sexual and performance through semen retention. Um, I think there's a big misconception out there. You know, at least there's people learn that people that I know in my own life, they learn that I practice semen retention. I'm very open about my life. I'm very open about my sexuality and who I am. It's just my nature is to be very open. But one of the misconceptions, they think that I live, one, a celibate life. I don't, trust me. And or two, they think that my sex life might not be as good. And it's actually quite the opposite. In fact, semen retention has improved my sexual performance in so many ways. And the guy that's here with me today is Johnny White. He is the founder of Sexual Kung Fu. He is the co-founder, along with myself, of the Spiritual Bad Boys movement. And dude, without being like, I don't know how to say this, man, but you've helped me perform better in bed. Thank you. So tell us a little bit about yourself and Sexual Kung Fu, and so that we can get into this conversation.
Yeah. So, like many men, I noticed I had a huge sex drive, and this often got me into trouble. And it was like, how can I use this sex drive to really harmonize my life? I studied Taoism, I studied Tantra, yogic traditions, many different things. And, a big theme in these traditions is the power of sexual energy and learning to transmute it and to make the connection with that sexual energy conscious. And doing this just completely changed my life. It changed the way I approach sex. Also was able to, significantly improve my ability to perform in the bedroom, because let's face it, like a lot of guys, I didn't last very long, back in the day during sex. And so just completely changed so many areas of my life for the better, and became passionate about helping other men do the same for themselves.
I appreciate you sharing very openly about that, because I think that it's a point of embarrassment for a lot of men if they don't last long in the bedroom, right? There's kind of this idea of like, man, if I'm a quick shooter, if I don't last very long, I think it really plays in our man's psyche, especially if we can't please our partner, our woman, right? Like, a woman takes 15-20 minutes to warm up to the point of being aroused to even orgasm. And that means if we're ejaculating, within a couple minutes, that generally there's a lot of unsatisfied partners out there. I want to break any shame or like, sort of embarrassment about that, because I know this is something that can be transformed. It can change. Can you speak to a little bit about longevity in the bedroom and semen retention?
Yeah. So like a lot of things, our sexual performance is a product of habit. Most men, we learn about sex through porn. Personally, I did, and I got in the habit of just masturbating to porn every day. And the problem with this is that it's so overstimulating, and it often programs you to reach this very high point of arousal very quickly and to ejaculate very quickly. So one of the causes of premature ejaculation can be, years of masturbating to porn, just being completely sexually overstimulated and
Mm.
learning these bad sexual habits. And so semen retention plays in here because, a lot of men, their batteries are depleted. They're running on empty, basically, because they're constantly ejaculating. And different hormonal changes happen within the body. For example, after you ejaculate, the body secretes a hormone called prolactin, which actually inhibits testosterone. You need testosterone to have healthy sexual function, have good erections and things like this. So when men are constantly ejaculating, then often erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, these different sexual issues can result as well. And so practicing semen retention helps you to rebuild that reservoir of energy and basically be very sexual healthy, have a high level of sexual vitality, and be a beast in the bedroom, which does require some training as well.
And tell me how, when we're talking about enhancing our sexual performance, so we're not just talking about lasting longer, which is obviously a large part of it, but we're also talking about actually being able to please our partner. How does semen retention help us show up in the bedroom better for our partner, and in more the ability to actually give pleasure?
Well, it really helps men to step out of this goal-oriented approach to sex, like, oh, I just need to, rush into this point of ejaculation, this ejaculatory orgasm, which is actually a very limited orgasm. Men can have full body orgasms, non-ejaculatory orgasms. And when you're no longer focused on this point of, I need to reach this point of ejaculation, and a lot of men, they approach sex very, very tense, and they're completely neglecting all the potential pleasure that they could be experiencing and giving their partner as well, because they're just trying to rush into this point of ejaculation. So when you practice semen retention and you change your sexual habits, the entire act of sex becomes quite orgasmic. And then you're able to be more present with your partner, because you're not trying to focus on, oh, I need to get this point, I need to get off. You're more present. And when you're doing the sexual kung fu practices, you're able to control your arousal better, so that you can, focus more on pleasing your partner and bringing them to orgasm as well. So it just completely changes the dynamic of sex.
Yeah, I found in my own experience, it was interesting that as I started practicing semen retention, I already have a high sex drive, but my sex drive increased because I was retaining my semen. And so, the drive for sex. But as I practiced semen retention and transmuted that, I was able to bring that into the bedroom with my partner and be better for her. And she, my wife said, yes, our sex is better now. There is definitely an improvement in the bedroom because of semen retention, which was I found it fascinating. I also noticed harder erections, which I know a lot of guys sometimes struggle with, right? Or they're self-conscious of, like that, their penis size and all this kind of stuff. So how does semen retention help us with our erections, and even size of our penis?
Yeah. So as far as erections, this is very much related to uh, of course, the blood flow and things like that, but also basically the sexual charge you have. So in Chinese medicine, they consider sexual energy to be an aspect of the kidney system. So they call it jing, which is like this raw sexual essence. And the kidney system in Chinese medicine involves all of the sexual organs, the fluid producing organs, basically. So the bones, the bone marrow, the blood, and of course the sexual organs. And so by constantly ejaculating, you're draining all of your jing. So it's basically like you're draining your battery, as I said before. And by rebuilding that battery, you have a stronger charge to be expressed. So this often results in harder erections. Like a lot of older men in their 60s and 70s who sometimes struggle with erections, they find that by going longer without ejaculating, all of a sudden they have a much higher sex drive, and they're having firmer erections, harder erections. And there's also specific exercises you can do, to improve that as well. But in general, semen retention is a great, valuable resource for improving your sexual health, having better erections as well.
Fantastic. And I say fantastic because, again, I know this is a point of pain for a lot of guys, right? It's a point of stress. It's a point of pain, whether it's an embarrassment or shame, or, not feeling like fully like a man if we're not able to perform in the bedroom. I find that, our psychology and our sexual performance, are very interlinked. Would you say that you've experienced that, or can you speak to that a bit?
Oh, definitely. It was like, in my, my teens, my early 20s, I wasn't very good at sex. I couldn't last very long. And it kind of becomes this weight of like, it affects your self-image. It affects your confidence. When there's a lot of men have avoided a sexual experience because they were afraid that they wouldn't last very long. They were afraid they wouldn't perform. So it totally kind of becomes this weight on your shoulders, and it affects you in everything you do in your life. So once I started practicing sexual kung fu and really became confident in my abilities, once I was able to last as long as I wanted during sex, my confidence went through the roof, and this affected everything else in my life. So these things are very linked. How you perform in the bedroom is kind of how you perform out in the world as well.
Well, and I love how you say that, because that's exactly what we're doing with the spiritual bad boys movement. Is we're linking the two. We're saying, look, the way that you're performing sexually and the way that you're performing in all areas of your life are interlinked, and they can be used. Sex can be used as a way not just to perform better in the bedroom, but also to perform outside of the bedroom at higher levels. And that's what we're teaching inside the spiritual bad boys movement. Now, we got a webinar coming up on February 8th where we're going to be talking about how to turn your sex drive into success. Can you talk a little bit about what guys are going to experience, what they should expect when they attend the webinar?
Yeah, so you're going to learn a lot about, how your sex drive relates to the excess you are or aren't experiencing in your life. You're going to learn an exercise to transmute your sexual energy so that you can, charge your body up with this energy, enhance your creativity and your thinking and things like that. And we'll be tying, success principles, things you can use right away to really shift your life around, and a lot of insightful information about sexual energy and its relationship to your success.
Awesome. Hey guys, look, I encourage you, the description and the link for the webinar is in the link for the webinar is in the description below. I'm also including a link to Johnny's YouTube channel. Make sure you give him a subscribe. He's got tons and tons of videos, all kinds of information on sexual performance, semen retention, and spiritual concepts. So please check out his check out the Sexual Kung Fu page and what Johnny's doing. Make sure you register for this webinar. Johnny, thanks so much for hanging out with me as always, and kicking it here on this channel, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Nikula. Always great to connect with you, brother.
Awesome, man. We'll see you guys in the next video.